How many manifestations does Guan Yin Bodhisattva have? Based on the Lotus Sutra. So in this Lotus Sutra, it describes Avalokiteshvara as Bodhisattva who can manifest any type of God. And this God is God-like deity. The first one is Indra. If we think about Indra, it's similar to the Greek god, Zeus, Athena, Poseidon, Ares or Apollo, right? They are like God-like deities. In the Western culture, they call God, not the creator of God, but the God and the goddess. And the Brahma, in the Indian culture, they call Brahma as God too. So Guan Yin or Avalokiteshvara can also transform herself to Brahma or Vishnu or Shiva. Or she can transform herself into any type of Buddha. How many Buddha are there?
I think it's infinite, right?
Yes, it's infinite. Thank you, Naman. Yeah, the number of Buddha is infinite, and since the creation of the universe. And the next one, based on the Lotus Sutra, is that any type of heavenly guardian, including Vajrapani, that's the protector of Buddhas, because Buddha needs many protectors, right? And the next one is Vajravara. And this term is the heavenly king. Think about in heaven, it needs some kind of protection. In Chinese culture, there is 4 heavenly guardians. In Chinese, it's called the 四大天王. So there's one in the east, one in the west, one in the north, and one in the south. So as you can see, on the one on the right, he carry a musical instrument. So this one is considered in charge of harmony. And the one on the west, he holds a snake, and this snake has awesome eyes. He can look at everybody or every sentient being from the skies. So he's the protector from the west. The deity on the north, as you can see, he carrying an umbrella. He's the person who's in charge of rain. He's in charge of prosperity. And the one on the south, because he's in the south, he's close to the earth. So he's in charge of the growth of the root of the plantation, of the fertilization. So he's in charge of the well-being for the food for the sentient being. So as Guan Yin, he can also transform herself without gender. Without gender meaning can be man or woman. So here it's male or female, can be adult or child, human or non-human being. So why does she do that? In every situation, sometimes situation change. So she will transform herself into different kind of transformation for the purpose of teach Dharma to the sentient being. So originally, Guan Yin Bodhisattva was a male form, originally. That's in the beginning stage. When you go to a Hindu temple or Indian temple, if you see any Avalokiteshvara, but in a male form. So you will see that the clothes he wears is chest revealing clothes, and sometimes he might have mustache. But it's later on in China, or when Avalokiteshvara is being brought into the Chinese culture, somehow when she help people, somehow when she manifests to help the sentient being in China, she transformed herself into woman. Therefore, in the Chinese culture, you see Guan Yin in a female figure. So based on the Chinese culture, there are 33 manifestations of Guan Yin. I don't want you to think of there are only 33, but this 33 is the most popular one. It starts as early as Sui dynasty and Tang dynasties. Later on, I'm going to show you the slide that Avalokiteshvara actually exists in much earlier than this. So according to the doctrine of Mahayana Sutra, 大乘佛教, it does not matter whether Guan Yin is male or female, genderless, because ultimately it's emptiness. Sometimes we will question why she does not have gender, because in this realm of duality, gender is so important for us. Especially if you go to school, you either have to be girl or boy. If you are a girl, you go to girls' restroom. If you are a boy, you go to boys' restroom. You cannot have somewhere in the middle, and then there's a political issue on that. But in reality, the place that we are in now, we are in the realm called the desire realm or the form realm. In this desire realm, gender, it's a very important concept. Because of gender, there's reproduction. But later on, when we move to the non-desire realm, which is in the higher spiritual space, they don't have any gender because they don't have desire anymore. So desire is associated with gender. So like I say, in this physical realm, we are in this realm of a duality. Everything here, it's about gender. Everything here, it's about I want this, I don't want this. In other words, there's so much desire here. There's so much desire of preference. Therefore, gender become important. But when you talk to angel or Buddha, Bodhisattva, it's not so important for them. They care less about gender. Here is my slide. The question is, how many manifestations does Guan Yin Bodhisattva have? So the answer is it's limitless. Guan Yin can manifest in clouds. So just like Buddha has supernatural power, she can transform herself into clouds, into rains, into stars. Guan Yin Bodhisattva can be anywhere. I'm sorry, not just Guan Yin Bodhisattva, all the Bodhisattva, because they already reached that level. And so is Buddha. Guan Yin can transform herself to clouds and can be to animals, all kind of animals, cat and dogs, maybe birds, or all kind of beings. And even in the blade of grass, flower, or tree. So Guan Yin can even become a beggar in disguise to test you. So we all heard the story in a Christian term. There's a faithful Christian follower. So here he is in the situation of storm and he climbed up to his roof and he's waiting for Jesus to help him. He's looking for Jesus. And eventually Jesus sent him 3 ways to rescue him, but he was having an expectation of Jesus. Therefore, when the helicopter comes, when the boat comes, when the raft comes, he denied such request to be rescued. But later on, when he go to heaven, Jesus say, I tried to save you 3 times. How come you don't get it? So this is the concept of Guan Yin Bodhisattva. Guan Yin Bodhisattva can even come in front of you as a beggar to test you. And how would you act? How would you help him or walk away? This is the book that I find online in this book, which is sold in Amazon. So this book is called The Indian Buddha's Iconography. So in this book, it contains 108 forms of Avalokiteshvara. It represents Buddha's illustration based on the English translation. So here's a couple pictures I want to show you. So this is the first Guan Yin manifestation based on a simple drawing. And this is the second one. So notice that here it has the term Lokeshvara. So in India, they don't call Avalokiteshvara, they call him as Lokeshvara. So just to let you know, Loka, it means space. Svara means sound. And based on the Sanskrit, sometimes a term can have a multiple meaning. So earlier I say that Svara means sound. Svara also means Lord. So Lokeshvara together, it means the one who is looking down the world with sun, using the sun to rescue the people. This is another term for Avalokiteshvara. It's equivalent to Lokeshvara. So here's the 3rd transformation, and this is the 4th transformation. In this picture, you can see that Guan Yin has multiple hands, multiple heads, carrying a baby. On this manifestation, you can see that there's wings on this Bodhisattva, and it's just all kind of transformation. And he's sitting on a lion or some kind of tiger with a snake in the bottom, and there's different Buddha holding different instruments. And so is this one, multiple hands. So I think the most famous Guan Yin Bodhisattva's manifestation is the one that has 11 heads. That's just beyond our imagination. So based on this, you can see that Lokeshvara has an open chest. So we can say that all these are male figures. And this one, you can see the breast is being shown. So definitely this is male figure. And same thing for this one. This is a statue from Goddard Rohan. Godrohan is a place west of China, north of India, east of Iran. This statue appears in the 3rd century. And you can see that this is Guan Yin with open chest. And you see there's a little Buddha on the top. So based on this picture, we can see that Guan Yin in the India culture, she originally was a male form. And you can see this is from the 3rd century. This is a portrait painting. It's in the Indian cave. So originally Avalokiteshvara was from India. And this is where the cave was discovered in the Maharashtra state in India. It was a statue. It's a 75-meter tall, 246 wall of rock. And somebody make the illustration out of it. It's hidden in the cave. And this one, I want to explain this one more specifically. This one, as we can see, it's a male form. It looks like it's an open chest. We don't see the chest, but we can see this upper chest. This is discovered in Cambodia. This one on the right is he, again with open chest, he holding a lotus. Avalokiteshvara in India also have another term, which is Padmapani. So lotus in Sanskrit means Padma, and Pani means holder. So Padmapani means lotus holder. So this is discovered in Java, Indonesia. I want to explain to you why a lot of Guan Yin statue or the picture have this Buddha on top. This is Amitabha. So why does Amitabha sit on top of Guan Yin Bodhisattva? Have you ever wondered why? So Guan Yin Bodhisattva has a little Buddha on his head. Who is this? There's a story behind it. When Guan Yin, I'm sorry, I should say Avalokiteshvara, because that is, Guan Yin is the later term that the Chinese call her, but original term is called Avalokiteshvara. She understands humans suffer so much, and she was on her pathway to become Buddha, but she's still a Bodhisattva. And she see a lot of sentient beings suffer from the moment that we are born to the moment we die, we suffer sickness, we suffer aging. So she make a vow, I'm going to save all of you until you escape from samsara, until you go to nirvana. So she make a vow, and with so much sincerity, she start to do her job. And when she begin her action, she realized humans are so stubborn. She realized humans have so much greed. I tried to tell them many times, but they still cannot listen. She still insists on doing so. And eventually, she's just heartbroken. It's just beyond her power. Human has so much tremendous demand, and everybody needs her help. And she become overwhelmed, and she feel exhausted. And when she feel exhausted, all of a sudden, her body shattered into thousands of pieces. And in this time, Amitabha Buddha came. He understands Avalokiteshvara is going through so quickly. In order to encourage her with such compassion, he used his power to put his piece all together. So when he put all his piece all together, he said, that's not enough. Just Guan Yin have 2 eyes is not enough. Just 2 arms is not enough. I'm going to give you 1,000 arms so that you can see. So that's why she has 1,000 arms. And in some transformation, we can see that she has 4 arms, 8 arms, 24 arms. Some people will argue that she has 10 arms, but it really doesn't matter how many arms she has. If you look at her arms, each of her arm on her hand, there's a little eyes. So each arm has eyes, which allow her to see all the sentient being, and each arm allow her to save all the sentient being. So before she just have 2 arms, now she has 1,000 arms. And when we say 1,000 arms, we mean like millions of limitless arms, because how many sentient beings are in this physical realm? There's a lot, right? It's more than 1,000, more than gazillion. And also, she's also equipped with 11 heads too on the top. From that point on, Guan Yin become disciple of Amitabha Buddha. Therefore, Guan Yin respect the teacher so much. From that point on, she carried Amitabha on top of her head. So now we know why Guan Yin has this little Buddha on top. So when we go to a Buddha's temple, if you see there's a little Buddha on top of the head, then you know that's Guan Yin. So who is Amitabha Buddha? So Amitabha is in Chinese, it's Amitofo. When we go to a Buddha's temple, we always see 3 statues. In Chinese, we call it Xi Fang San Sheng, the 3 saints of the West. Amitabha is always in the middle because he's the teacher. And the 2 ladies on sides, you can tell that this is Avalokiteshvara. She holds the willow branch, right? And you can see this willow branch. And this one, who is this? Mahatma. In Chinese, we call 大势至菩萨. Also very famous, but not as famous as Guan Yin. And you say, why? You can see that she carried lotus. So lotus represent wisdom. Lotus represent the path. One Bodhisattva here represent the cause. Yeah, this one represent the cause, and this one represent the effect. So because of human nature, every time when we need help, I have so much suffering, Guan Yin, please help me. Guan Yin, please help me. And we always call Guan Yin's help when we suffer, right? So we always call her a lot. But we're supposed to cultivate, we're supposed to have this wisdom. So in very seldom chance, human call for her help. That's why Mahatma 大势至菩萨 is not as well known as Guan Yin Pusa. So like I say, it's human nature. And notice that Mahatma 大势至菩萨 is female form, but originally she is in male form. So all these 3 Buddha supposed to be in male form, but because they come to China, they want to save the sentient being. And because the follower tend to like to talk to women. So Guan Yin and Mahatma 大势至菩萨 transform themselves into female figure. Naman, are you there? Can you help me to pronounce this name here?
Okay, this one. It's called Mahastham Prapt. Mahastham Prapt. Maha means great. Istham, actually, I don't know. Prapt means get. So Istham, I don't know the meaning, but Maha means great. Prapt means get. That's all I know.
Good. Thank you. How can we tell these 2 Bodhisattva? So we can tell by this Bodhisattva holding the lotus. Lotus means wisdom. Lotus means cultivation. And the one on the right is holding the willow branch. So the one holding the willow branch is Guan Yin Bodhisattva or Avalokiteshvara. So again, you can see that this one, Avalokiteshvara, is bare chest. And this one is discovered in Suratani province in South Thailand. And this one comes with 6 arms. This one, it has a little Buddha on top. This is discovered in Malaysia in the 8th century. So this statue here, Buddha on the top, this is Amitabha Buddha. And it discovered in the Pala period. So Amitabha Buddha is in the middle. So you can see that originally in the early time, Avalokiteshvara is actually in the male form. You can see that it's all open chest. And this one too, it's open chest in the early time. And this one too, you can see that this 8 arms Avalokiteshvara is kind of choppy. It's different than the Chinese Bodhisattva. Comes with 8 arms with little Buddha on top. Looks like a warrior. And this one also looks choppy too. The one on the left, it's in the Walter Art Museum. This one, I believe it's in Baltimore, Maryland in USA. And this one on the right, it's a stone statue. It's in the National Museum of Indonesia in Jakarta. Again, it's in the early century. This one is 1,000 arm Avalokiteshvara in a cave. This one has 1,000 arms, dated in 13th to 15th century. Again, this one is an open chest Avalokiteshvara in Nepal. This one is also open chest in Nalanda city in Bihar, India. So here's the interesting part. In the earlier slide, I talked about Avalokiteshvara in the East Asia, but here I want to talk about the most famous 33 manifestation of Guan Yin in China. everyone come with a story. Do you know all this story? Kai, are you there? Do you want to help me to read the English part so that we can go from number 1 to number 33? Kai, are you available?
Sure.
Start from number 1.
Okay, let me adjust it. So number 1, willow branch.
Yes.
Are you gonna also, I'm gonna do English and then you do Chinese, or I'm just gonna go straight down?
Oh yeah, I can do Chinese. 杨柳观音
Riding on the dragon.
龙头观音
Reading sutra.
石金观音
Circulating fire flame.
圆光观音
Relaxed sitting.
游戏观音
White gown.
白衣观音
Lotus petals.
卧龙观音
Waterfall.
龙剑观音
Medicine.
施药观音
Fish basket.
盂兰富观音
The virtuous king.
德王观音
Moon in the lake.
水月观音
One leaf.
一叶观音
Green neck.
清景观音
Warrior.
威德观音
Willow tree.
延命观音
Jewelry.
众宝观音
Sitting in the cave.
严护观音
The harmonious.
能静观音
This one, Anuttara.
Yes, that's a Sanskrit word. 阿努观音
And then lion fearless.
阿摩提观音
Leafy covering.
夜衣观音
Jewel.
琉璃观音
Tada.
多罗观音
Clam.
牡蛎观音
6 time zones.
60观音
Universal mercy.
马郎观音
不是. Universal mercy is Puts.
yeah 60观音普慈观音
And then Malang.
马郎观音
Palms together.
合掌观音
Oneness.
一如观音
Non-duality.
不二观音
Lotus holding.
十莲观音
And water sprinkling.
洒水观音
Yay.
Thank you, Kai. Thank you, Kai. So Guan Yin is not just limited to this 33 manifestation. We talked about earlier in our session, there's much more than that. But this 33 is the most important one. And the number 1 is the willow branch Guan Yin. This is voted the number 1. And because this one is the most famous one.